Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dismantling Morgellons with Alana Kyle. My name's Kathleen Fitzgerald. And we are going to be talking about um, some of the lesions that people are experiencing, how to detect them, how to treat them, different things like that, some dialogue around that. And then also, I'll put my glasses on here. Oh yeah, the emotional aspect of what treating, your sores are like. I mean, you can't just do this out in the open. I mean, it's kind of a personal issue, and I think a lot of family members aren't that supportive of what's happening because they don't understand it. I mean,
Absolutely.
doctors don't even understand it. So, um, so Alina, my personal question for you, or my first question is, you know, how do you know the treatments are working when you're doing your treatments?
Um, that's a really big and good question, and other people have asked me before. And so this is not something that you can cure or fix in a very short period of time. It's going to be sort of a long, very intense process. And I've only been able to find that these things work over a long period of time. Um, Although certain things worked faster for me, like for example, the hat worked faster for me than anything. Um, but when you're working on sores, for example, they can be really deep, and there could be a lot of them, in a big area. And it's not something that just goes away overnight. People are used to like taking drugs, and then it just like instantly affects you, like antibiotics, boom, knocks out your thing, knocks out the thing. People want to take Fenben for parasites, boom, knocks it out, kills it, dead, gone in a week, you're done. This is kind of like the mindset of most people, is that you need to, fix it right now, and you can move on with your life. And this is a very different situation, very, very different. And we need to understand what we're dealing with, and we need to understand this is not something that's going to permanently go away. And this is not something that, like, you can't just heal the sores overnight. I mean, some people have the same sore for 7 years. Some people have the same sore for 20 years. Ask Candy Nelson. Her sores have been, she's been dealing with it for a very long time. But we ended up figuring out some things that work better and work faster at healing the sores. In fact, we're coming up with things on the fly. Like in the last few weeks, we've come up with new treatments. So we're always coming up with new treatments. But basically, the way you know that these are working is because, look, I have no sores now. Look, no sores, no sores. I don't have sores. And if I did have one, I could clear it within 2 or 3 weeks. Are you there? Or you just paused for a sec. But but some of the bigger sores could last, months. And it takes a sort of certain kind of like dedication and commitment to actually work on those, because you have to spend hours every day working on it. It grows back. It keeps on trying to, recommit itself. Like, you take off the top layer, and then there's more stuff underneath, and you take off that layer, and then there's more stuff underneath. It's just like this dismantling process that we're talking about, where you have to draw the metals out, you have to draw the parasites out, you have to draw out the hydrogel, you have to draw out the black specks, and all of this stuff, graphene, all of this stuff is lodged in there and like glued into your skin at a very deep level. So it takes a certain commitment to it to get those to be worked out. Heat. This is the one thing, excuse me, the one thing I need to mention. I figured out, and I've heard this before through, Tony Pantelleresco. I've learned a lot from that man. He is pretty amazing. He's
Yeah,
an
I've heard of him.
herbalist. He's very, very smart. Excuse me. So he says, heat. And then I found in some of the scientific literature about hydrogel. So it is affected by all kinds of things. Temperature is one. And they figured out that so heat will it will like make the fluid come out of it, out of the hydrogel, and it'll like get smaller. But when it's cold, it absorbs the moisture. Okay, so that's a really big thing to understand. So I did a really hot bath the other night with my normal bath that I have. It's the 2 cups borax, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, Bronner's citrus soap, and clove oil. And it's my same bath that I've been taking for the last 3 years. Okay, I do the same bath all the time, but this time I did it really hot. Like I got in and I was screaming. It was so hot. I was like, this is hot. That is what it takes. You have to have heat. It's got to be above 90, something like 96 degrees, which my bath temperature was probably 102. But anyway, the results were astounding. I couldn't believe how much of this crap came out of my skin. And I have a video of it. I have to show you guys. It's, when you come on I'll put it on my Facebook group so you can see the incredible amount of debris that was in the bath water. It was insane. And I felt so good afterwards. And my skin felt so silky. And I was like, okay, I got it. It's the heat. And then the other thing was, drinking hot liquids and using hot pads. And, you're better off in the summer, but in the winter, that's when people start to get sick. Wonder why? Hello, because the hydrogel is absorbing all the water in your body. You're getting dehydrated. Your immune system is trying to deal with the cloggages. None of the systems work. All of a sudden everybody's getting sick. Okay. Right.
Wow.
So it's the cold. And
That's
also
making sense.
And one other thing is that I follow some really gruesome kind of stories in the news. Like and I don't know, I have this weird fascination with trying to find out who's dying and why. And I've seen a lot of deaths by drownings, way more than usual in the last year. And I feel that, okay, so people have a lot of this hydrogel in their bodies, especially because of the, they got a lot of the hydrogel and the quantum dots. And when they jump into cold water, normally that'd be fine. And, nobody really thinks about it. They just jump into cold water. Then all of a sudden they're sinking. Why? Because the hydrogel is all of a sudden hardening. And then it's like all of a sudden it just like pulls them down, and people are drowning constantly now.
Never thought of that.
Like in the weirdest situations. Like I'm like, how did that happen? Like people who normally are great swimmers or whatever.
Well, I did hear about a child drowning in his bathtub.
Well, yeah, that happens a lot, but I mean, it depends on the age of the child. But yeah, like a 10-year-old was drowning in the shower. A 10-year-old.
That's it. That's the one.
In the shower. And I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right to me. I'm like, what is going on here? So I really think that you got to be careful getting into, when you get into changes. For example, when you get into a plane, the change of altitude, that's going to affect it. When you jump into cold water or hot water, it's going to affect it. Anything like that, and frequency affects it big time. It makes it grow. The frequency gives it power and makes it grow. That's why we want to wear our hats and whatever shielding devices that you can get your hands on. And there's more shielding that you can get that I can talk about at some point. But basically, you need to understand what we're dealing with, and that will give you the power to attack it and kill it and get it out of your body.
Right. So the treatments are working when the lesions get better and your skin clears up. I think that I'll just throw this in here, that when I use the borax scrub, and it's any liquid body cleanser, it doesn't matter. I like to put a little bit of iodine, betadine soap in with it.
That's
you
really
can
good.
Even for sensitive skin, you add lotion to it to make it, more emollient. You can add all these things, but the basic scrub then is definitely keeping the nanotechnology from settling in the creases. I would get sores around here. It looks like pimples, but they just don't go away, and they hurt, and you can pick them off and pick them off and pick them off, and it's not like a normal blackhead or pimple. So, and even times you can even feel a little like wire or something in there, like it's electrically
Something
charged or
sharp
something.
coming out.
Yeah. So I know that using the borax daily, just very gently, you'll feel the kind of like a layer of plastic come off, and your skin is all nice and fresh. And then, I don't get anything that settles. As I know this is my theory, those quantum dots get on the skin and then send a hair down and then make another one. And then it starts growing that graphene out, and it makes a system. So anyway,
yeah.
fantastic. I mean, this stuff is so sci-fi.
It's so hard to deal with, and people don't know what they're dealing with, and they do a lot of things that aren't necessarily healthy or good, just in desperation. And that's when your family kind of goes, oh, okay, you're really crazy.
Yeah,
you
let's
need
go
to
to the
stop.
emotional aspect of that, because I wanted to touch on that. So, you know, I've heard things like, oh, you're picking at it too much, or you're playing with your sore, or just things other people have said, things I've heard. It's like, well, no, this is a very serious situation, and you have to keep on it and keep administering treatments to your body in order for you to not get overwhelmed. And if you are getting lesions or even little sores, you pretty much are
Well,
infected.
I've seen some of the worst cases of Morgellons that are probably exist. And I can tell you that it creates such a devastating, excruciating situation. Like Kenny Nelson is one of the people that comes to mind. And she's lived with this for 20 years. And I mean, again, she didn't have much support from her family as well. And she couldn't work, but basically this stuff created such a situation that she was in agony every day, and that she spent the entire day working on it, actually every day working
I
on it.
can imagine. I mean, these lesions are very, very painful because it's kind of like nerves and wires connected to your nervous system, connected to the Wi-Fi. I mean, it's just
It,
really
it's
intense.
not just like, for example, it's not just like an overgrowth of skin. I mean, that's what people may consider it, like some kind of overgrowth or some kind of like, oh, you just have a few, fibers in there, like just fabric fibers, but it's not like that. It's more intense because it's got like these signals, like you said, it's electrical, and it's got radiation, and it's electrical. And so it's like having glass pieces scraping your nerves that are shooting out electricity and radiation, and your body is like up in arms, having cytokine reactions, like, oh no, like, just like, this shouldn't be happening. But it's like, what does your body do about it? It can't really kick it out. It's
I
not
guess
easy to kick out because it's glued in.
what I can equivalate some of this to, it's like you have a little tiny glass shroud, like a sliver in there, but it's active. It's sending out, receiving information.
It's moving
It's
around.
growing. It's programmed to grow.
Mm.
So I've actually witnessed this. I'd never have believed it, but I've actually
Yeah,
witnessed.
and it magnetically attracts more. Mm. So go ahead.
So, well, we're breaking up. Our internet connection isn't that great. If this
Oh,
is
okay.
but we're doing okay. So,
Go back and say what you were going to say. Oh.
well, how do people deal with the emotional aspect? I mean, most people, from what I've talked to them about, some of them end up targeted individuals and homeless. But for the mainstream person that's dealing with this, what are some of the first best things, just the first things that they can do to help alleviate or maybe even prevent the sores, or from manifesting as bad?
Mm. Okay, well, so everybody needs to be on like like sort of more of a complex program, more of a detailed program where you're dealing with internal hydrogel and then external hydrogel, and then also dealing with some of the side effects of the disease, because you end up with like this sort of hyper reaction. Your body's like hyper reactive to the toxins, and so you end up with like histamine reactions. That's something I've discovered, is that
Okay, so
for
hold on,
myself,
let's
that I
break this
have
down
back.
because I can just feel people getting overwhelmed. I'm,
Oh
this
no,
is so overwhelming.
it
So
is.
just
I
like
know you.
maybe from my perspective, like the first things a person could do would be like to take or just make the borax scrub, right? And be able to take a shower with the
Well, actually,
borax scrub.
I think baths are more effective. Baths are more effective
Yes, okay,
than anything.
okay. If you don't
So
have a
I would say
bathtub
the
though,
baths are the most effective.
okay, but if you have a
Do then
bathtub,
then make the scrub and get that all over.
right, okay, so if you have a bathtub at home, people, you can just take a bath every night or twice a day, or, and what would you put in your bathtub for
And
people just to get started?
okay, so the bath that I use now is a 2 cups borax, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. That's cinnamon powder, not cinnamon oil, okay? And you can put in some Bronner citrus soap and 10 drops of clove oil, and make sure it's really hot. And additionally, you can scrub your skin with some kind of a scrubber, or washcloth, and also soak your head in it, soak your ears, put it on your face, get it everywhere. And then you're going to want to take a shower, because there's going to be stuff coming out, and you want to like get all this stuff off at the end.
Okay,
Um, and then if you're having symptoms that are really unmanageable, like as far as like itching and you're feeling this uncomfortable sensations that come, like crawling sensations, you can make a spray that you can spray on whenever you need it. And I used to take this with me everywhere. This one's an alcohol spray, although you can use other things. I think vinegar might be just as effective, but only that it smells, vinegar, some people can't stand the smell. But this alcohol spray is just like alcohol and a little bit of water, and lots of little oils like clove oil, tea tree oil. You can put peppermint oil. You can mix up your own batch, and those things will calm down. It will calm those reactions and those feelings and those itchy spots. And that makes your life normal. That makes your life livable, because this stuff it'll make you feel crazy. If you're always itching, like I'm always like this, I'm always like, it's like, ugh, it's like everything itches all the time, especially the scalp. Can you imagine you're just out there, like trying to do your job, and you're like, it's like, so you put the spray on and it instantly stops.
nice,
And so that's
nice.
really important to know that one. Very
Okay,
important. And then as far as the actual dismantling, then you can use the paste that you're talking about. Then you're sitting there for hours rubbing it in and
oh
getting stuff
yeah,
off.
yeah. So you could take the calogel and the sulfur, and you can gently rub, because these are not regular scabs. This isn't a scab.
No, this is synthetic skin.
Yeah, this is unnatural, fake growth that is not part. And I know what I was going to say too is that if you keep the skin, I've noticed that, you can treat, clean, treat, and then give it a good oil, the skin a good oil to protect the skin, like vitamin E or coconut oil, or maybe even
Olive oil,
olive
even
oil, right?
castor
Those
oil.
castor oil, things
Mhm.
like that. Do you ever put oils in the tub besides the cinnamon oil? No.
No, oh no,
You
it's
ever
not
use
cinnamon
Epsom
oil.
salts?
Never use cinnamon oil. Never use cinnamon oil. Only cinnamon powder.
Cinnamon powder. I meant clove. I mean, so sorry,
Oh,
everybody.
clove you can put on
Oh,
your skin, no problem.
I
No, I
got
don't
some
put any
clove
oils.
oil.
I don't put any oils in the bath, no.
Okay.
But the soap, what we're trying to do is the citrus soap actually breaks down the hydrogel, and the clove oil is good for the parasites, and it also draws and binds. The cinnamon powder especially draws and binds with all of those nanoparticles, and brings them out of the skin. And the borax is like miracle.
Have you tried using alfalfa in the tub yet?
Yes, and I loved it. It was great. But the only thing is it's messy.
Messy, yeah. Yeah, you'd
Messy, and
have
I
to
don't want
have
it
a
to go down the drain.
strainer and stuff. I've got a
It's
tub
kind of a
outside.
mess.
Got to get it plumbed, but still.
No, but you could put tincture in. That's the easier thing to do. But the tincture is kind of expensive. It's like $20 for a vial this big. So I've been using it internally and finding amazing results. Amazing. You guys have to try it. The
Okay,
alfalfa
so
tincture, it's GMO free.
okay. So
It's
sorry to
organic.
interrupt
It's
you, but let's
yeah,
so let's talk about some first phase internal treatments that people can get going on if they wanted to right away. And again,
right away.
our
You start on the
disclaimer is
start
this
on
is
the
not
borax.
medical advice. We are not just doctors.
That's right.
We're just discussing and giving you some entertainment content. So again, not medical advice. If you have a medical emergency, call 911. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so the internal treatments that work really well. First of all, borax. It's the most incredible natural mineral that you could possibly use. It's got a lot of incredible benefits, health benefits. It's not a detergent, just so you know. It's a mineral mined right from the earth. It's safer than salt. And there are specific doses, but the easiest way to remember is 1/8 of a teaspoon per 100 pounds. So for me, I take a quarter teaspoon a day. And you can drink that you have to drink a lot of water with it. You don't want it to be, you want it to be mixed in and it actually dissolves in the water. You need to dissolve it first. Some people have tried to do other things and that's not a good idea. You need to dissolve it and drink a lot of water with it. And so I usually put it in juice because it's easier for me to just put it in my juice in the morning. And at the same time, I put in the alfalfa tincture, 20 drops every morning. And I'm telling you, the alfalfa is a miracle. I absolutely think everyone needs to take it. It's got chlorophyll in it. It's an antifungal. It's binding with the metals. It's killing parasites. It's doing so many things all at once. I'm just blown away.
And mind you, you can make your own tincture. You just take the
Oh, yeah.
alfalfa, add 50% like Everclear. There's grain or wood alcohol, but you can use Everclear, you can use vodka, 50%. Just put the alfalfa in there, fill it up 50% water, 50% either vodka or Everclear. But there's another one that's a real high concentrate, 50/50. Put it in a jar, shake it up, put it in your
That would be the way to do it because it's
counter.
a lot, because you're going to use a lot of it. And if you want to put it in your bath and stuff, it's a good way to do it and a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah,
But
it would be
anyway,
pretty
I
inexpensive.
owe that one to you, Kathleen. Thank you for bringing that to me because that is a miracle for me. I'm so excited about it. Thank you for
Well,
that.
I remember reading about it. The same with the boron, the borax, kind of hidden information.
Very much
We
so.
uncovered that with the chemtrails issue because chemtrails, they're spraying this high-tech nano in the air. We know that. And it's all in everything. And it's the
Yeah,
new
you know what? I
world.
wanted to tell you that people are like, well, I didn't get the vax, so why do I have Morgellons? Why do I have these symptoms, Morgellons disease, whatever? I didn't do that. I didn't take that. I said, yeah, but you've been taking other vaxes and you've also got it in cosmetics now. It's in cosmetics, people. It's in medical stuff. They have like all these treatments now that are like really high tech. Like they have these eye things that they put on people's eye for cataracts, and it's hard to describe, but this is all stuff that has the hydrogel in it. They're using the technology to do these high-end treatments. And they also have these like gel pads that you put on your skin that make your skin plump up. What do you think that is?
Oh, one of my Facebook friends, actually, I know her. She's got Morgellons, targeted individual. She was showing me they've got like these little
Yeah.
strings
Oh,
you can
that one.
put in your wrinkles and it puffs it all up. I mean, that's just, oh, why would you want to put nanotechnology on your skin?
The thing is, they don't talk about it that way you know, the advertising, they're not required to tell you that that's what they're doing. And so, you know, I found out that it was in the mascara. Okay. And I ended up buying the mascara, not knowing, because of course it doesn't say it on the front. And so then I found out there's this thing called tubing mascara, and there are 22 different varieties of tubing mascara. It's almost like you can't get away from it now. So all of your mascara has this shit in it. And so I was using it for like, I don't know, a couple weeks, this mascara. And yeah, sure, it made my eyelashes look bigger. And I was like, wow, cool, that's great. Then I'm like, every night my eyes were burning. Every
Yeah.
single night, my eyeballs were burning. And the stuff was so gross. It was like flaking off in a million pieces all over my face. And I couldn't get it off me. And it was a nightmare. And then I was like, oh, and I figured it out that it was a tubing mascara. And the way you know is you turn the thing across the back, you know, you see the back of the label and it says washable mascara. That's the tubing mascaras. They don't tell you it's tubing, although some of them do, but one of them says fibers, super fibers mascara.
Super fibers.
Isn't that hilarious? And people are so unsuspecting. They have no idea. They don't know that fibers are hydrogel mixed with nanotech. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And so these young girls are putting it in their eyeballs. You know, it's getting inserted into you. You know, you don't even know it. And then band-aids, there's a whole bunch of things. There's like, if you talk to Celeste Salam, ask her, like, she's got all the information about all the ways they're using this technology across many different platforms. I mean, there's, you know, of course, there's biomedical stuff, there's, you know, drug delivery, there's synthetic skin, there's 3D printing inside your body. There's all of these different variations of how they're using this technology. So of course, you know, you could have picked it up anywhere. You could have eaten it, you could have drank it, you could have put it on your face unsuspectingly. You know, you could have gone and had a treatment done for your hair. One person I know had done her hair like it was like a straightening thing, and that's when she got Morgellons.
Crazy. Well, I went to the Goodwill once and tried on a jacket. And I remember coming home and it was starting to get on me, almost like these things are getting on me and growing, you know, and I could feel the little bumps. So of course I did a infrared sauna. I have one here. And then I did the borax scrub because I don't have a tub. So I had to get creative.
Mhm.
And I was able to keep that from, but it was happening. I could tell. I mean, you wonder, God, is that really happening? I mean, is this really happening? And yeah, so I'm
Well, a
like,
lot of
yeah,
times that stuff you go into Goodwill and you breathe it in, and you can feel it going up your nose. You can feel it in the back of your throat. You feel it on your eyeballs. I mean, I swear it's almost like I'm so sensitive to this now that everywhere I go, I feel that. And so when I come home, I do major stuff. I like clean out my eyeballs, clean out my nose. You know, I use tea
how do you
tree
clean
oil.
out your eyes? What do you
Okay, so
do?
for the eyes are super important. You have no idea how much of this crap is in your eyes. And you know, your hydrogel is like covering your eyeballs as well. And so you have to melt all that off too. So I use DMSO. And look, I use DMSO straight up. Some people have to mix it with something, but I use it straight up because I want it to work. I want it to be, you know, powerful. So I put 1 drop in each eye. And yeah, it stings a little bit, but the stuff just comes pouring out and then I'm completely clear. But you want to do that after you take your makeup off.
That's incredible. As my mother always taught me to be very, very careful with the DMSO. And so I have to work into that. I have to punch through some programming.
What you could do is you could mix it with distilled water so it's not as powerful. And the other thing that works is tea tree oil soap. And you can just kind of rub it in your eyes. And yeah, it's going to sting a little bit, but it really clears it out. It's really good. And the third thing I use is Calogel, and I just put that liberally all over my eyes.
Put it right in your eye?
Yeah, and it clears it
Wow.
out. It clears it out. It works. It's really, really helpful. And I mean, you should see the stuff. I've actually got a video showing all the stuff that comes out of your eyes. And it's like blue nanoparticles and quantum dots and black goo and you name it. There's so much crap coming out of your eyes. It's insane. So, I mean, and I know a lot of people who say that their eyes are always stinging and they don't know. They just don't know this stuff is in there.
Yeah, see,
You
or
know?
whatever. Yeah. And so I think that we've got, like about 8 minutes. And so we're
Mhm.
talking about lesions, we're talking about the emotional aspect. So what encouragement can you give your listeners if they are just now experiencing problems? This is all new to them. Just some of the very first steps that they can do that will be like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about this.
Well, I think if you know what you're dealing with, then you won't feel that sense of overwhelm, because I think it's when you don't understand the disease that you feel the most fear. I mean, you feel like, am I going to die? Is this taking over? Can
Answer.
I avoid this in my environment? You feel like, am I going to die alone because nobody cares that I'm sick? And, you like have all of these like really intense feelings around it. And I get it. I felt all of that. And I was afraid of even my own underwear. I didn't even want to put my bra on because it was covered in this stuff. But now I have a much more like grounded sense of things. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. Every day I do a little something. Every day I go, what can I do today that is going to march me towards my goal of perfect health? And so that could be, changing your diet. That could be like avoiding places where there's a lot of this dust. That could be wearing the hat and wearing it while you sleep, or wearing it during the day so that you feel calm, you feel in control, and then doing baths every day and doing treatments like on your eyes and your face. So you like keep the stuff moving out, keep it going, keep it out. And then also for as far as the emotional side to it, don't get into arguments with people about it. I don't even, if there's people that don't want to hear about it, I don't talk to them about it. I don't force these conversations. I don't even care. If you don't know about this, I don't care. If you don't want to know about this, I don't care. I know about it. That's all that counts. I
What do
know
you
about
tell
it.
family friend? What do you tell your what do people, how can people tell their family? Because I
You could
know a
say
lot
there's
of,
this weird thing it's a weird thing I'm dealing with. It is weird. And it has to do with some new technology and things that people don't necessarily agree with. And so I'm going to avoid talking about it unless you're interested.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to do it because I've
Don't
heard other
force it.
people say, that they have to do their treatments alone. Their family members are saying, "Oh, stop picking at it. You're making it worse." And you have to pick at it in a way, I think.
I
You
think you
have
do.
to keep
You're
pulling
dismantling
off
it. You're
the stuff
dismantling
that's
it.
growing every day, every time you look at
But you
this
can't
thing.
you can't explain that to people because it's so weird. It is weird, and it's been purposely kept out of the media. Although there are some places where you can find this information, like when you look online and there's like nanotech magazine, or nanotech this, or new technology this, if you go online you can find these articles, but on the mainstream they're not talking about it because they don't want you to know. Duh, they don't want you to know this stuff.
Right. No, it's been like red listed or blacklisted. And if
Take it off of YouTube.
hospitals were sent notices saying if anybody comes in saying they have Morgellons, that they're just supposed to be sent off to the psych ward. So it's because
Absolutely.
it's a psychological problem. There's really nothing going on. Why? Well, because partly they want to keep it hidden in a secret because they don't want people to understand it's they're being sprayed with chemtrails and blah blah blah. I mean, that's how I found out about it. I didn't
Yeah,
find out about it
me
any other
too.
way
It's
but
hard to
through the
find out about.
chemtrail
There's not
journey.
a lot. There's not a
Then
lot
you
of
see
information.
Candy Nelson and all that. So, this is real stuff and it's really happening. Okay, so 5 minutes. Why don't you wrap this up for us
Okay.
and give us a few words of encouragement, and then that'll be episode 12.
Okay. So there's a lot of information on my Facebook group. So there are people in that group that will help you if you, and plus me, plus Kathleen, if you are confused, if you need assistance, if you need guidance, if you need information, you know, we're here to help. We have been through hell, absolute hell, barely made it out alive. And so we have a lot to share, and we are doing great. Both Kathleen and I are doing great. We have really busy lives, really active lives. You know, I've got 2 businesses. I've got a home to take care of, a garden, a family to take care of. I am doing better than ever. I have not been sick in the last, I've not been sick at all since 2018, but then I got COVID once for 4 days in that whole time. So, I mean, we're doing so good. So I want to say that our stuff is working. You know, the hats, the energy clearing, the baths. I mean, this is all stuff that God gave us. This is all stuff we were given to by God to help others with. So we're not going to sit back and just, you know, go, oh, okay, well, we're fine, so we'll just get on with our lives. No, I mean, we're here to help you. So that's why I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad you're following along, because we have so much more information to impart, and I'm really excited and happy to give you this information.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. I know that Elena's heart of gold, and we want to get Candy Griffin Vanderwalker on here too to discuss her energy clearing protocol, because that's all part of this. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching episode 12 of Dismantling Morgellons. We look forward to having you view the more upcoming episodes that are on their way in the near future. And if you want to catch up, go back and listen to the other 11. And we'll see you again and again. See you around the horn. Thanks, Alana.
Thank you, Kathleen.
God bless
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.